Viewer discretion is advised. February 5th, 2015. Bourne, Massachusetts, 2 a.m. It's a cold, quiet night just off the coast of Cape Cod. Winter lingers on. Patches of snow are scattered across the ground. Lisa Berlanga, 31, and her wife, Anna, both petty officers in the United States Coast Guard, sleep peacefully in their beds, unaware that outside, a madman awaits. A man they thought they had left behind years ago. In the darkness, Adrian Loya breathes in deeply. Over a year of meticulous planning has led him right here to this moment. Hatred flows through Loya. He believes that Lisa, his former Coast Guard colleague, had assaulted him years earlier. What actually happened, though, was much more innocent. The truth, however, does not matter to Adrian Loya. Adrian steps out of the car on the cold night and straps a GoPro to his chest. These will be his final moments. The plan? Kill Lisa, and then die in a firefight with police, all to be filmed for the world to see. Left behind for police to find was his 250-page manifesto, which detailed his mission. Bizarrely, it was inspired by Star Wars, a deranged manifesto entitled Loya Wars. The cold air fills his lungs. His car lays parked in the middle of the street, blocking the entrance to Lisa and Anna's neighborhood. Adrian exhales and sets the car on fire. When first responders arrive, he is going to ensure that they enter into chaos. He sets up smoke grenades, noisemakers, and fake explosive devices. Now he's ready. He pulls a black mask over his face and approaches the door. Using a shotgun, he blasts through the lock and runs upstairs. Lisa and Anna awake to the sudden, terrifying noise. They look up to see a masked intruder, all in black, gun in hand. They scream. Adrian yells at them to separate and throws handcuffs to them, telling them to fix the handcuffs to themselves. Lisa and Anna, terrified, ask the man, who is he? What does he want? Lisa dials 911, but terrified the intruder will see, Anna rips the phone from Lisa and throws it away. Furious, Loya takes off his mask, revealing his face. "See what you did to me?" he responds. "This is what I become because of you." Shocked, Lisa and Anna recognize this face from their past, but it's been years. Is this truly happening? Lisa pleads, begging desperately for the life of her and her wife. Adrian hesitates. This isn't what he had anticipated. He didn't expect to see the fear in her eyes, to feel her begging. Lisa and Anna use the moment to prop up their mattress in a desperate attempt to shield themselves from the oncoming attack. Loya snaps out of his daze. The rage and hatred flow back through him. "You had 2 years to apologize," Adrian yells. He raises his pistol. 15 shots barrel through the mattress. In one night, the monster known as Adrian Loya had destroyed 3 lives. Just hours after the attack, in a police interrogation room, he would reveal his bizarre psyche to the world. This is the true story of one of the strangest modern-day murderers, Adrian Loya, the Star Wars killer. Before we begin, I want to note that this is one of the strangest true crime cases that I have looked into, and it's one that's stuck with me ever since it was first reported on. I think the main reason this case has stuck with me is simply the amount of writing that Adrian Loya left behind in an attempt to give insight into himself. The goal of this video is to give a full account of the story using publicly accessible materials. This video is made with the utmost respect to the victims involved, and viewer discretion is advised, as this case has descriptions of violence and sexual assault. Lastly, if you find yourself struggling with mental health, please know that resources are available, numbers and links to which will be available in the video description. With that being said, let's begin. Part 1. Adrian Loya, growing up. Adrian Thomas Loya was born on February 5, 1984 in El Paso, Texas, to parents Shirley Guerrero and George Loya, and was the first of 3 children. Right at the beginning, Loya did not have what one would call a normal family situation. At the time of Adrian's birth, his parents were separated. For months, his father George was not even aware that he had a son. Like so many young parents, however, Shirley and George decided for the good of the children they would get married. Their relationship, however, would not last. According to a piece from Psychology Today, Adrian Loya's behavior was tumultuous from a young age. He would shift from shy and quiet to angry and confrontational, emotionally withdrawn to screaming. Loya's mother Shirley wanted to take the young child in for counseling, but the elder George Loya shot down the idea, insisting that his son was just going through a phase. Adrian's parents would go on to divorce while he was in high school. While his mother and two sisters moved to San Antonio, Loya decided to stay with his father to finish high school in El Paso. Adrian's growth into adolescence and adulthood would be marked by deep introversion. He seldom had friends in school, and the few he would make would come and go, without real connection or friendship. Despite spending most of his time alone, Adrian would neglect his schoolwork. Instead, he would become obsessed with video games, comic books, and science fiction franchises. In short, Adrian grew to be a deeply isolated adult. He continued to neglect his social skills and graduated high school without much fanfare. After high school, Adrian had few goals. He seemed to be drifting. One of the few friends Adrian had left, Jacob Heller, would later testify in court as to his observations of his friend at the time. Here are excerpts of that testimony, edited for brevity.
Stand right here.
Sir, just please raise your right hand. Solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give to the court and the jury and the issues now pending before the Commonwealth and the defendant as the bar shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Sir, in a nice loud voice, could you state your name and could you spell your last name?
I'm Jacob Heller, Heller.
And where do you currently live?
Long Beach, California.
And draw your attention back to when you were in high school and grade school. Did you live in California then?
No, I lived in Texas.
Okay, whereabouts in Texas?
El Paso, Texas?
And did you know an Adrian Loya?
Yes, I did.
Do you still know him?
Yes, I do.
Do you see him in court here today?
Yes, I do.
Where is he, please? Just where is he sitting and what's he wearing?
That's him right there.
May the record reflect he's identified the defendant, Your Honor.
So noted.
And how would you characterize, sir, your relationship with Mr. Loya?
Friendship?
And when did that start?
In high school, I believe.
And what were the circumstances surrounding your, in high school, relationship to Mr. Loya?
I believe we were in the same Spanish class, and we both disliked the class and thought it was boring, and we sat near each other and developed a friendship based on that.
And what common interests did you share with Mr. Loya, if any?
Video games. To be honest, I don't really remember a lot of my interest in high school.
Fair enough, fair enough. But one of them was you enjoyed video games, and so did he. Fair to say?
Yes.
And would you play video games together?
Yes.
And are we talking about maybe an hour a day, or would it be something a little more intense than that?
I mean, obviously we hung out a lot. So it could be anything from, hanging out after school for an hour or more, or maybe sleepovers or things like that. Yeah, there are all types of games we played. Everything from Mario Kart, which is like a racing game, to maybe Call of Duty games, which you play as soldier and you complete mission objectives, to things like League of Legends, which is a cooperative team fighting game, I guess, adventure fighting.
And were there any other interests that you shared with Mr. Loya back in high school?
We were on the swim team together. We hung out a lot, just in general.
And would you watch movies, for instance?
Yeah.
What types?
The popular movies of the day, I suppose.
All right. Well, was there a specific focus on science fiction as opposed to romance?
Perhaps that's fair to say.
Now, were you in the same class in high school? I don't mean like Spanish class, I mean the graduated the same year class.
I believe we were.
All right. Did you graduate from high school?
I did.
And did he?
He did.
What did you do after graduating from high school?
I applied for the JET program.
What's that?
It's a program where you work for the Japanese government teaching English in Japan.
And did you get accepted to that?
I did.
All right. Did you go there?
Well, I'm sorry, I went to college first.
Right.
and then I went into the JET program.
Okay, fair enough. Now, during the 4 years that you were in college, were you keeping friendship with Mr. Loya?
Yeah, as best I could,
That's how you would do that.
via Skype or text messaging or email.
All right. And would you continue to play games?
Yes.
And would you be able to play with him even though you weren't in the same area?
Yes, that's right.
All right. Do you know where he was while you were in college?
Maybe basic training
For what branch?
for the Coast Guard.
For the Coast Guard. And had you had any discussions with him about his joining the Coast Guard?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, do you remember basically why he said he wanted to join the Coast Guard?
Not really. I think he joined because he had no other specific interests or plans.
At 21 years old, Adrian decided he needed out of his father's house. He needed structure, a career path, a path forward to making a life for himself. To the surprise of his family, he joined the United States Coast Guard. Not only would this give him a sense of purpose, but, Adrian believed, the Coast Guard would take him into a life of adventure. Adrian completed basic training without much incident. He was now Petty Officer Adrian Loya with the United States Coast Guard. After basic training, he was sent to Petaluma, California for a 28-week training course to become an Information System Technician, or IT Tech. It was a position that Adrian excelled at, as he had an aptitude for networking and computers. Upon completion of the course, Adrian received his first orders. Imagine his surprise. After months of being stationed on the beautiful California coast, he was ordered to the cold remote island of Kodiak, Alaska. Kodiak is a small island off the southern coast of Alaska. Despite having a population of just over 5,000 residents, it is home to a large Coast Guard presence. The island is isolated, with transportation to and from only possible by ferry or by small local commercial airline. A cold and barren land far from the continental United States, Kodiak can be an isolating place for anyone. It was especially so for Adrian Loya. He mostly kept to himself, playing video games or browsing online. For his birthday that year, he did not go out with any friends and colleagues, but instead celebrated by buying a $400 samurai sword online. It was there in Kodiak that Adrian would meet 28-year-old Lisa Berlanga. Lisa Berlanga was born on March 13, 1983, in Midland, Texas, to parents Louis and Virginia Berlanga. Unlike Adrian, Lisa excelled in school. She graduated from Midland High School in 2001 and would go on to attend Midland College. Then, in 2003, she transferred to the University of Houston in Houston, Texas. Much like Adrian, however, Lisa sought a sense of purpose. This is what drove her in 2008 to also enlist in the United States Coast Guard, attending boot camp in Cape May, New Jersey. During this time, Lisa kept the secret from her family that she was attracted to the opposite sex. While attending the U.S. Coast Guard A School in Petaluma, California, Lisa would meet fellow Coast Guard officer Anna Trubnikova. The two would soon fall in love, and after a short courtship, became engaged. Lisa was then transferred from Petaluma to Kodiak, Alaska, in September of 2011. As a petty officer, she had another officer in Kodiak that was superior to her, her boss in the IT department. His name was Adrian Loya. Adrian and Lisa shared similar interests. They both loved the same TV shows, movies, video games, and soon became fast friends. They began watching movies together in their off time, playing video games, and exchanging text messages. To Lisa, this was a normal friendship, but Adrian would begin to become obsessive. Adrian loved writing. He kept both somewhat of a daily journal, as well as extensive fan fiction writing in the worlds of Star Wars and Star Trek. His writings during this time period, however, would become stranger, as he began keeping detailed accounts of all of his interactions with Lisa. Due to his position as her superior, he was also able to keep a close eye on her comings and goings. He would write in his journal, reminiscing about playing video games with Lisa, or even just going to the bar. If Adrian was having a bad day, if he wrote about Lisa, he would feel better. Adrian was surprised when he found out that Lisa was engaged to Anna, an officer who had just been stationed in Kodiak as well. Lisa and Anna would go on to get married, with Lisa taking Anna's last name of Trubnikova. Adrian would go on to spend a lot of time with the couple, and as time would go on, Anna would become trepidatious of Adrian. She saw how much time he wanted to spend with Lisa, how clingy he was. She could see that Adrian had a certain feeling about Lisa. Anna sat down Lisa and told her how she felt. Adrian's fixation on Lisa had become more and more evident, and made Anna more and more uneasy. The three had almost a love triangle, one that Lisa admitted that she was aware of. Due to this, Anna asked Lisa to limit her contact with Adrian Loya. During this time, Adrian would call his friend from back home, Jacob Heller, and would talk constantly about Lisa. He wanted to get close to her. He was fixated on her. Here is more court testimony from Jacob Heller, describing the conversations he and Adrian had about Lisa.
He told me that he met someone who was either on his same base or in his unit or who worked close to him, and that he found kind of a kindred spirit, and they had a lot in common.
Okay. Now, were you concerned at any point about this, Lisa?
I was, yes.
In what way?
I guess as time went on, he was more and more interested in befriending her, befriending her wife. At some point, the conversations we had, I was under the impression that, they were going to get married.
You said they were going to get married. You don't mean Mr. Loya and
No.
Lisa, right?
I'm talking about Lisa and her wife.
Right. So when you were talking with Mr. Loya, he was at some point informed you that she was in a same-sex marriage or a same-sex relationship leading to marriage, right?
That's right.
Was there anything that caused you concern?
I believe that the tone of his conversations was concerning because he would bring up the fact that she was in a relationship, but he seemed very strongly interested in getting closer and closer to her, to Lisa.
Did you have further conversations in which Lisa was mentioned?
She was the focus of many conversations.
Tell us about those, please.
He would describe the working environment, working alongside of her. He would describe trying to befriend her wife or meeting her on the base in various situations.
Sir, in fact, it did give you some pretty significant concerns, didn't it?
There were times when I was concerned, yes.
Okay. Well, when you say concerned, it rose to a level, sir, that you even told him, you better see somebody.
I told him that, he should speak to someone about what was going on.
When I say speak to someone, specifically, it was a shrink or a psychiatrist, right?
I personally didn't know who he should talk to because I didn't understand the structure of the Coast Guard and what he was doing. But as I understood, there was some outlet, and I told him he should at least talk to someone else.
Why?
The way he talked about her went from I want to be her friend to I want to be her friend and I want to be her wife's friend to a point where I believe that we were getting into maybe inappropriate territory in the sense of these two people had a relationship and he seemed to be wanting to get into that relationship more closely with both of those people.
Fixated on it, right?
Perhaps, yes.
So much so he wasn't even speaking about video games or the like anymore, right?
As time went on, his conversations turned to her.
Months passed in the office, and Adrian perceived much tension between him and Lisa. He couldn't understand what had happened between them. In his own bizarre way, Adrian loved her. However, that love would soon turn to hatred in September of 2012. Part 2. The event. It was late into the night, after midnight. Anna was out of town on a work trip. Lisa decided to call Adrian to invite him over for drinks and to watch television. Despite being her superior officer and Lisa being intoxicated, Adrian still accepted. The two shared drinks, stories, and watched television. What happened next in detail, however, is murky. Much of the reporting in the media is inconsistent and is dependent on whether or not one believes the accounts of Adrian Loya. Personally, I do not. What we know for certain, however, is that while both were drinking, Lisa had become far more intoxicated than Adrian. The specific details vary from outlet to outlet, but we do know that Lisa made an advance on Adrian, and Adrian denied it. Lisa, again heavily intoxicated, then went to bed. Adrian sat frozen on the couch in shock and uncertain of what to do. He decided to go upstairs to check on Lisa, who again allegedly made another pass at him, either by grabbing his arm or trying to kiss him. Adrian again denied the advancements and then left. Adrian was frozen, traumatized. He would later go on to call the event a rape of the mind. Unwanted sexual advances can make anyone feel awful, and regardless of the details, it seems that Lisa did make an advance towards Adrian. One could argue that Adrian was sexually assaulted, in that an advance was made to him which he denied. However, in my opinion, and the opinions of others, Adrian's claims of rape were unfounded. In fact, psychologist John Dognall would later testify in court that, quote, Loya developed the delusional belief that Lisa had raped him. The reality of what had happened that night and Adrian's perception were completely out of sync, but reality didn't matter to Adrian Loya. All that mattered to him was what he perceived. The morning after, Lisa would text Adrian apologizing for what had happened. Sorry I got so drunk last night. If we could never talk about it again, that would be great. Adrian agreed, and to Lisa it seemed like everything had blown over. Adrian, however, stewed internally. He went over the incident again and again and again. He started to fear for losing his job, fearing that Lisa would reveal everything that happened to the Coast Guard. Adrian was her boss. She was drunk. He should not have been there. It clouded everything in his mind. Months passed, and yet all that Adrian could think of was what Lisa had done to him. In February of 2013, Adrian turned to his one outlet, writing. He composed 26 pages, a letter he titled The Lisa Effect. He then sent a copy both to Lisa and Anna. When Lisa received the letter, she was in shock. It had been 6 months since that night, and yet this man had written a manifesto detailing the trauma he was dealing with. Psychology Today reports that Adrian wrote, quote, I have never been so scared in my life. He also wrote that he was torn between, quote, a simple crush and a classic case of post-traumatic stress disorder because of what you did to me that night. He went on to explain the night in detail, expressing to Lisa that he was now a victim beyond repair because of what she had done to him. He also wrote that he had self-diagnosed himself with Stockholm Syndrome and Battered Women's Syndrome. Adrian was completely unhinged. He wrote in the letter that he was also sending the document to Anna for, quote, transparency reasons. Lisa immediately went to Anna and begged her not to read it, but after seeing that Adrian had also sent the letter to her work email, curiosity got the better of her, so she finally read the 26-page manifesto. She had noticed that Adrian and Lisa had not been hanging out for the past few months, but had no idea that anything had transpired the night she was away. After reading the letter, she thought Adrian was delusional. But Adrian could not stop there. He had to let someone know what had happened to him, and so he contacted the Coast Guard to file an official report. The Coast Guard Investigation Service began an official investigation and ordered Adrian to have no contact with Lisa or Anna. His desk was moved away from Lisa's, and she was given a new superior officer in the department. Adrian was encouraged to seek therapy in order to help him with his claimed post-traumatic stress. At this point, Adrian's tour in Kodiak would be coming to an end, and he was ordered to restation at a base in Chesapeake, Virginia. Lisa and Anna were too relocated to Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and were instructed to alert the Coast Guard should Adrian ever try to contact them again. And for 2 years, they never heard from him. He was out of their lives and soon out of their minds. Upon arriving for duty in Chesapeake, Adrian learned that the investigation back in Kodiak had concluded. On July 2nd of 2013, Adrian was given the notice that the investigation was over, which included a letter from J.L. Wilczynski, a captain of the Kodiak base, and, to Adrian's surprise, a disciplinary letter referred to as a page 7. The letter from the captain reads, 1. I'm writing this letter to update you regarding your allegations of sexual assault earlier this year and notify you that the decision was made not to pursue criminal charges in this case. The decision was not made lightly, but with careful consideration of the facts and circumstances under which you made these allegations. The Coast Guard takes all allegations of sexual assault very seriously, and a thorough investigation was completed into this manner. The general basis for this decision was that the evidence did not support the criminal charges in this case. 2. I encourage you to seek support to help assist you in moving forward from this event. Your local work-life staff is available to assist you and can discuss tools or services offered to assist you in any difficulties you may be experiencing. 3. If you have any further questions about the case or this letter, please do not hesitate to contact me ASAP. The disciplinary measure, however, came down as a result from his harassment of Lisa and Anna. Lisa and Anna had told investigators about the 26-page email, and they had turned the entire document over to the investigators. Lisa was written up for her alcohol consumption, but no other actions were taken against her. For Adrian, however, it was a different story. He was on thin ice. Not only had he involved the Coast Guard investigation team on what was seemingly an unwanted kiss, he then continued to harass 2 lower-ranking officers. The disciplinary letter reads, quote, "You exploited your position as a senior member of the division to increase contact with Lisa Trumnikova and communicated unsolicited amorous feelings. Your behavior affected your entire division, causing individual angst and decreased productivity." After relocation, Lisa and Anna were able to put the events behind them, but the same could not be true for Adrian. For years, Adrian kept thinking about Lisa. He stewed internally. He told his commanding officers that he would continue to seek out mental health treatment, but he never did. Instead, he became obsessive. He replayed the events in his mind over and over and over again, sinking into a deep depression. He decided he no longer wanted to live. But if he was to die, Lisa would have to die too. He needed retribution. For 2 years, Adrian composed a bizarre 250-page murder manifesto titled Loya Wars, a little while ago on an island far, far away. The following are excerpts from the pages of Loya Wars in chronological order. I must be very frank, it makes me very uncomfortable to narrate these excerpts in the first person. However, I think they do illustrate his warped perspective at the time. So that being said, here are some excerpts from Loya Wars. They call me Loya. I have experienced a weird trauma that forever changed me for the worse. I am an extremely quiet guy who keeps to himself, generally very friendly when approached and have your typical geeky interests. I also have diagnosed myself as having schizoid personality disorder. I have very much been a loner my whole life who never really sought out people. Although I wouldn't consider myself antisocial, just not desiring a need for others in order for me to feel alright. It's maybe because of this personality of mine that what many would have considered a trivial, awkward, everyday life event was also way more destructive on me than it should have been. Okay, I need to state immediately that I wasn't physically raped, nor did I rape anyone. My body was not forcibly sexually penetrated, nor was I forced to sexually penetrate another person against my will. All that happened was a tiny, drunk, Hispanic, gay, married woman known as Lisa, whom I trusted, had invited me over to her place to hang out, but then dragged me to her bed for some sex that never happened. What actually did happen is that something in my mind was destroyed that night. The bad night, September 9th, 2012. The feeling was amazing. It was 1:30 a.m. on a Sunday, and I felt so alive as I got ready and left Lisa's house. It was the feeling of being wanted by somebody, that there was a person out there who wanted me to be with them, somebody who wanted my company. Lisa Berlenga wanted Adrian Loya to be there with her to have some late-night fun. I was the happiest I had been in my entire life, because somebody wanted me in their life, and it was a person that I wanted in my life. I had wanted Lisa to be my best friend in Kodiak. Fear, pure fear, the intense feeling that from this moment something bad is going to happen to you and there is nothing you can do about it. The next morning, I go to see my phone and I see it as a text from Lisa, but then my heart drops. Her message reads, "Hey, sorry I was so drunk last night. If we could never talk about it again, that would be perfect." Things race through my mind as it tries to define the words. What is she actually saying with this text? The unknown. The rest of September 2012. It was the first day. The first for many things to start. The first day being back in the office after a week off to recharge from a very bad month. The first full week of being back to normal with Lisa. Sort of. The first full day I began having my body betray me. The first day of never feeling safe. The first day when I started down my dark and lonely path. The calm before the apocalypse, December 2012. You might recall how December 2012 was supposed to be the end of the world because of Mayan prophecy. Well, of course it didn't happen because that would be incredibly silly, but maybe it did end. Maybe my world ended that year, and I had been sent into whatever hell there is with no fanfare. I do not know. The letter, February 2013. So that weekend, I come into the office to print out the 20-page letter I had written Lisa. I had a little fun with it by calling it the Lisa Effect Report, and dressed it up as a super top secret military document. As I am putting it into a folder, I am thinking about the consequences that are sure to happen once Lisa reads the letter. One thing that stuck in my mind, and one thing that I have learned about Lisa, is that she will probably never show this to Anna. Then I decide to send a digital copy of the letter to Anna's email. I did this because I felt, due to all the heavy stuff that I put into the letter, that it would be very, very wrong if Anna knew nothing of what I was telling her wife. The letter read like some kind of Edgar Allan Poe story, where it goes from innocent to complete horror. The letter, February 2013. Hate. I love my dreams. I live for my dreams, but then Lisa started appearing in them, and I no longer wished to dream. I hate that my dreams have been taken away. I hate Lisa Berlanga. As the rest of 2013 marched on for me in Chesapeake, I slowly began losing it. Please don't take what I'm about to say as ammo to discredit me. So, since I was very little, I have had a very powerful imagination. I would play pretend outside or inside the house by acting out the fantasy worlds I live in. I was someone's son on board of a Starfleet vessel, or I was the son of an X-Wing pilot, or I was having Batman to teach me how to take over for him, or I was being groomed to be the next Ghostbuster. Then there was also my version of the Star Wars universe. Since about 1998, I have had an incredibly immersive and detailed life of me adventuring in this galaxy far, far away. It was Adrian Loya, whisked away from his home planet of Earth to then be taken to this galaxy to be trained as a Jedi by Luke Skywalker himself. For 15 years, I would daydream my continuing adventures of this galaxy whenever I had a dull moment in the real world. I, of course, knew it was all in my imagination, but with such a vast history that I stole and modified for my own use, they became my memories in a way. That is, until I got to Chesapeake. It started to become very, very hard to stay in my imagination, and it wasn't just because I was entering my 30s. I would be pulled out with thoughts of hating Lisa and what has happened to me. I became obsessed with her, and I hated it. I developed a monomania for Lisa. Just look at all the shit I wrote. I hate what she has turned me into. I hate that I now hate, and I cannot rid myself of it. I hate Lisa Berlanga, and I want her to pay for it. The decision. Making the choice when I didn't want to play anymore. I was done. I no longer wanted to play the game anymore. It wasn't fun. All the game masters sucked and all the players cheated. All the rules were unfair. I no longer wanted to play. I wanted out. The decision, though, was not just to leave the Coast Guard, but also life itself. Then, I decided that if I was going to leave this life, I would not allow Lisa to also remain. I had to get revenge. I wanted revenge. I hate Lisa Berlanga, and I will have my revenge upon her. The hunt for revenge, planning for the great battle. I want to deny Lisa happiness. I want to deny her seeing the day when gay marriage is made fully legal throughout the country. Deny her the chance to see the first Hispanic or first female United States president. Deny her the career she was in. Deny her the wonderful moments of life. Deny her the chance to grow old together with Anna. Deny her the love from Anna. Deny her the sense of safety. I wanted to deny her everything, and in doing so strike fear into her as her last sensation. My 30th birthday arrived on February 5th, 2014. Enlistment ends on March 8th, 2015. So it was decided. I will begin the process for leaving the Coast Guard, and I will go out on my 31st birthday. I have taken the emblem of the Rebel Alliance from Star Wars as my personal symbol in fighting back. I will fight fire with fire because no one else will. But maybe, just maybe, I will help light the fires of rebellion. That's it, the girls are there. Loya, prepare yourself for a surface attack. As summer 2014 moved on, I already had a pretty good general idea of what I wanted to do, but I still did not know exactly where Lisa actually was. Well, it's really simple, and it turns out for like $15, you can get a report on anyone that has their addresses, previous addresses, family record, and so on. When the location actually popped up on the map, I was almost ecstatic. I have played numerous strategy and tower defense games during my video game career, so when I saw the layout of where Lisa allegedly lived, I saw right away that it was technically perfect. I immediately saw that if all you did was place an obstacle on the southern road, then the first responders would have a hell of a time getting in there quickly, thus giving me ample time to complete the mission. Operation Purple Rebel. My final battle, and the first battle against fear and power. It's not who you are underneath, it's what you do that defines you. That quote is from Batman Begins, and in many ways, that quote holds true for everybody and everything. It's going to be incredibly true for me, since I will only be seen as an evil man who murdered an unarmed girl and then wildly attacked the police officers who came to save her. And that's okay. It's a totally reasonable way of seeing me, or anyone for that matter, when they do that. Everything that I am inside will not matter and will never be used to judge me. Lisa, on the other hand, will not be held to that standard, though, and I hate her for it. But I will know what she did. I will know what she was capable of, and it will be for me that I do this, and I will die knowing that I did the right thing. Thus, Operation Purple Rebel will be put into action. Essentially, the mission is a basic assassination mission. Confront Lisa any way I can and terminate her. Since last April, I had various different plans where they started off very extravagant to extremely simple to more theatrical. The main thing was just to make sure that Lisa knows that it is I taking her life. Everything else is secondary. This should be very interesting how it actually plays out. I am excited. Well, this has become very long indeed, 250 pages, and I still type horribly after all this practice. It's just that every time you see the news about a deadly tragedy, it's always either considered senseless or people never find out why the killer did what he did. But here's everything for the reasons I did this. You or someone else may consider them bad reasons, but that's you, not me. All in all, this was my world and my life that was destroyed by Lisa. Bye. Yeah, I felt weird reading that out loud, but I think you can see what I'm saying. His psyche was deranged. Adrian basically admits that all that matters is what he perceives. Part 3. The Attack. October 2014. Adrian began to put, quote, Operation Purple Rebel into action. He drove over 10 hours from his base in Chesapeake to the Trubnikova home in Massachusetts. To ensure he had found the right address, he placed hunting cameras across the street from the condominium on Roundhouse Road. The camera would start recording when it sensed movement, allowing him to track Lisa's movements to and from the house. The next morning, Adrian retrieved the camera to review the footage and confirmed that the address he had found on the internet was indeed correct. This is actual footage from the camera that Adrian stashed. Adrian then drove around the neighborhood, casing it out. In the background, he played the Imperial March from Star Wars on his car speakers. Upon returning to Chesapeake, Adrian put in a leave of absence to the Coast Guard. Believing that he was going to die, Loya set about getting rid of his worldly possessions. Some of his most prized possessions he sent to the YouTube channel and video game website Giant Bomb, who would go on to open the package during a mailbag episode on their channel.
Start with this one.
Whoa.
Oh, God. Okay. Do you have to borrow your knife?
Yeah.
MP.
Whoa.
Oh.
This is the Star Wars symbol and some Auerbesh writing. That's right.
Totally.
Okay. Okay, I'm coming back to that.
Yeah, with them, right? Yes. Yeah. Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh god, what is all this?
It's your UFP command insignia and a costume.
Oh my
Holy.
god. Are you serious?
Jesus.
Oh my god. I just realized what that was. Oh shit. Drew, this is a hell of a thing.
That's a sweatshirt.
That's pretty cool.
That is an amazing sweatshirt. Brad would lose his mind, but he is sick today or something. I'm gonna allow you this bag.
Oh lord. This is fucking cool.
Oh my
A
god.
gray fox.
Oh my god.
Put him over. I framed the other gray fox thing from that other mailbag.
Sick Star Wars hat.
Nice.
That. I feel like these things shouldn't go together. but-
NC-17 and something.
What?
Oh, Gray Fox has a sword.
Someone get married and then have to get rid of a bunch of stuff fast?
Oh, oh boy.
Oh,
Oh boy.
All right. Yep. Yeah.
See that?
5,000 BBs.
Oh god.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. Yes.
There's a Star Wars insignia on the back of it.
That's awesome.
Makes a lot of sense. Drop the magazine on it.
Look how cool that is.
Look how cool I is. I think I'm on my way, Dan, to being a Metal Gear villain.
What you got, Drew?
Ahem. All guns are always loaded.
It's true.
Never let the muzzle cover anything you are not willing to destroy.
Absolutely.
Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target.
Uh-huh.
Be sure of your target and what is beyond it.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware of the audience around you and how easily they can freak out. Hi, Giant Bomb! Just in case you were already freaking out yourselves, I have not sent you an actual gun.
Bummer.
What I have sent you is an airsoft rifle.
Yes.
Oh, is there a rifle in there too?
I don't think so. I think you just... Yeah. And gear to go with it.
I mean, there's a bunch of magazines in the front of that thing
That's true.
that must go to a rifle.
Maybe. Well, maybe... I got another one here. That's a long one. Much love and beef, Adrian, aka Hyper Aqua Blast on the internet, and Purple Rebel in the field of battle.
You know what you're doing here, right, Jeff?
Sure.
Okay.
What's going on over there?
Putting in a fresh cartridge.
Okay. I'm gonna open this other box.
Jesus. This is an in-depth mailbag we got
It's
here.
heavy, also. This one's for you.
What is this? Okay, primary one message from Starfleet Command. Dan, this is Admiral Hyper Aqua Blast at Starfleet Historical Headquarters. This is long. I'll try to give you the rundown as I read it. He's at the Starfleet place. They're getting reports from a quadrant that people are losing memory of the Enterprise. Okay. I'm Commander Dan Reichert, and I have to get to the bottom of it. I've been tasked to observe the records related to the major missions of the Enterprise, NCC something, during the Genesis device incident at the Battle of Kitomer. Okay. The individual missions of the Enterprise, something. Engaging, holy lord! Engaging the Borg, because it's a cool guy action movie. Something Vulcans. Okay. I have to be in uniform if I'm going to make visual logs of what I find. So I think he's saying I got to wear that thing if I'm going to watch Star Trek and talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to check out.
Alright.
Alright, thanks. Hyper Aqua Blast. Are you going to shoot me?
Sure.
Okay, I'll get over.
Yeah. Jason, you might want to move.
Yeah.
Duck.
Hold on.
Ah! Damn, that's a... Oh! Shit! That does hurt. Good lord.
That is...
Oh my...
That is all metal. That is not
Should
a...
I pull the trigger?
There's
No.
nothing... Well...
There's no magazine in
Didn't
it.
you read or hear the instructions?
I know. That's why I asked. Safety.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Wow. Dude.
Thank you, Adrian. You're insane. Why would you give this?
Collapsible stock, 4 grip.
This is great stuff.
This is all great stuff. I like this. I might have to start watching Star Trek now.
Fuck, man.
On the video, Adrian commented, quote, I can't use the airsoft stuff anymore, and rather than give it to some kid at the field I used to play at, I hope that Giant Bomb would use it on a short film or something, like the roller coaster one. Glad they seemed to enjoy it. The Giant Bomb team had no idea that the next day, the sender of the package would be making national headlines. Finally, Adrian decided to set up surprises for the investigators who would eventually come to his house. He propped up life-size cutouts of the Star Wars characters throughout the house to startle first responders. In the attic, he set up a spider on a string to drop down when the door was opened. Finally, he spread gun oil all across the stairs, the banisters, and the floors. Almost as if he was setting up a practical joke for the investigators to find. For the second time, Adrian drove the 10-hour journey to Bourne, Massachusetts, staying at the Bourne Quality Inn branch. The night before the attack, his 31st birthday, he contacted his parents and few remaining friends, telling them to not try to reach him. Finally, he took a dose of laxatives. If he is going to die, he doesn't want his body to be covered in feces. February 5th, 2015, Bourne, Massachusetts, 2 a.m. Adrian Loya parked his car sideways on Roundhouse Road, the only point of access to the condo building. Adrian steps out and tosses in a flare, setting the car ablaze. Across the neighborhood, Adrian places fake bombs. One is made out of a boombox rigged with smoke grenades, the other made from 2 Coke bottles. This is to ensure that the police will be delayed in their response. Black mask atop his head, Adrian shoots out the Trubnikova's doorknob with his shotgun and barges into their room. Here's Anna in her own words describing what happened in court. Again, viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Raise your right hand, please.
Stand.
Ma'am, do you solemnly swear the testimony you should give to the court and the jury and the issues now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant at the bar should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated, miss.
Now, ma'am, do you know an Adrian Loya?
Yes,
Do you see him in court today? Where is he, please?
he's over there.
May the record reflect she's identified the defendant, Your Honor.
So noted.
Now, ma'am, drawing your attention back to 2015, were you married?
I was.
To who?
Lisa
And do you know what Lisa's maiden name was?
Berlinga.
All right. In drawing your attention to February of 2015, where were you living?
The address?
Yes.
11 Roundhouse Road,
Do you know what town that was?
Bourne, Massachusetts.
All right. And were you and Lisa in any military service of the United States?
Yes, we were both active duty
In what?
in the Coast Guard.
In the Coast Guard. Where were you assigned at that time, in February of 2015?
Woods Hole,
Woods Hole. And where was Lisa stationed, if you know?
Base Cape Cod,
Do you know where that is?
the Otis base.
Okay, the Otis base? Okay. Earlier in the day on February 4th, do you remember where you had been or what you had done that day?
For that week, I was assigned to a military class that I attended from 8 to 4, and then I came home, and Lisa and I went at some point to a car dealership. She had totaled her car about a month prior, so she needed a new one. And then we went to the mall. Afterwards, we came home around 9-ish.
All right. And what did you do once you got home?
We went straight up stairs and kind of settling for the night. Watched TV, kind of laid in bed.
All right. Did you both go to sleep at the same time, if you know?
As close as I can guess, yes, I think, turned off TV lights, and I remember she like cuddled up to me, and so at some point we fell asleep, I guess.
Okay. What's the next thing you remember?
Um, there, I think, was some sort of noise to where she kind of stirred in bed, so I think that woke me up, and I, half asleep, kind of remember some noise. I don't know what it was. Yeah, so that was like the first thing.
All right. So, did you hear a noise when you woke up?
I think so.
All right. What's the next thing that happened?
She, I think, said something to me, which I said, it's nothing. I'm pretty sure I was half asleep, but I said it's nothing and that it might be the cats. And then I think I heard some other noise and a lot more pronounced, I guess. And then I just heard very heavy stomping, like someone was approaching up the stairs.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned some cats. Did you have cats in the apartment?
I did. We had 2 cats.
All right. And were they roaming free?
Yes.
Did you have any other animals?
We had a puppy at that time who was in his crate in our bedroom.
All right. So you heard some heavy footsteps, you thought on the stairs. What's the next thing that happened?
A tall body stormed through the door, the entrance door to the bedroom, which was kind of at the end of our bedroom, and our bed was, so it was a little long. It was dark in the room, so the person was dressed in all dark, and we saw a light. I think I remember identifying like a flashlight because it was shining in our faces. And at some point you can, where I could see that it's a rifle of some sort.
Okay. So you notice that this person comes into the room, correct?
Yes.
Could you tell at that point what, if anything, they had with them in terms of weapons?
I don't know if it was right that second because I think there was a lot of shock and confusion. He was yelling, the light in your face. So I don't think it was right away, but the more he was talking or like shouting commands, then I saw that he had another maybe rifle of some sort on his left shoulder.
What was he yelling?
He was, at first it was like separate, I think because Lisa right away starts saying, "Who are you?" or like, "What do you want?" type. He wouldn't say anything, so eventually I think her questions prompted him to yell out, "Shut up, separate."
So, do you remember when he said separate? Where were you in relationship to Lisa?
I was on the right side of the bed. She was on my left.
Were you close or far apart at the edge of the bed? Do you
Yes,
remember?
I think we kind of came together. I don't know. Because we were so confused. And then he was kind of in the middle of the room.
What's the next thing that happened?
I think because we weren't responding the way we were told, he was agitated. I mean, I thought,
I object.
Not what you thought, but what you heard or what you saw, please.
So what happened next?
Well, I wasn't as cooperative because it didn't seem right, that it was maybe a wrong house. Like, none of it made sense, so we didn't respond.
Oh, that can stand.
So when you said you weren't cooperative to what?
The commands to get off the bed and separate, I think in that situation, I didn't want to separate because it was very confusing. He just kept ordering, he came up to the edge of the bed and pulled the covers off of us. And at some point after that, he got my phone that was on my right on the nightstand and threw it away somewhere. I'm not sure where. And just continued doing that. I think at that point we were very panicked and it seemed very like deliberate towards us that it was not a mistake.
What was the next thing that happened?
Just yelling, just kind of, he seemed to be agitated, and he said to get on separate ends of the bed on the floor, face down. Lisa kept objecting and I think asking, what do you want? Like, who are you? He had a mask on and a lot of tactical gear, so we had still no idea who it was or why. And at that point, I believe he cocked the gun and kind of approached us, so I told Lisa to just do whatever he wants, and to get down on that side, and then I also followed. So we both at that point got on opposite sides of the bed.
What's the next thing that happened?
He threw handcuffs at us. He reached them from like the back of his gear. And he threw one to me first and threw to Lisa the other. And he directly spoke to her and said, in a very facetious way, you know what to do with them. Neither of us complied, and the last thing I wanted to be is restricted in that situation, so I refused to do it. He noticed that and was shouting and ordering more commands, saying, put them on. I put the handcuffs on my side on my right wrist, and I hid my left hand under some clothes or something, so that I could avoid not putting them on completely.
So you put them on one wrist, but not the other. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
What's the next thing that happened?
I don't think Lisa did it. I believe she just was very defiant. I actually, before the handcuffs, because Lisa kept asking, who are you and what do you want? He did take the mask off.
And did you recognize who it was at that point?
I did, because she yelled out his name in shock, and so it kind of just both came together for me as well, because I wasn't as familiar with him.
Who was it?
It was Adrian Loya.
Okay. What's the next thing that happened?
After the handcuffs?
Yes.
He was talking to her. Most of that time that he was in the room, he mostly spoke to her. He said, actually shortly after he took the mask off, he said, and she kind of shouted his name, and he's like, "See what you've done to me. You kind of like you're making me do this. Like this is what I've become, type of, because of you." And she was asking, "What did I do?" or "Sorry." And he said, "It's too late." Just a lot of repetitive things over and over. I mean, she would mostly say, "I'm sorry," or "Why are you doing this?" I don't know if he ever specified why, except saying that she did this to him and something about Kodiak. And I just know that she said, like, "I'm sorry, I was drunk. I didn't mean to hurt you." Somewhere in between that, I also kept saying, "I'm sorry." I think I tried to appease him. He seemed angry, a little agitated, walking kind of back and forth in the room, looking to the window, back at the door.
Now, let me ask you a question if I could. We'll just step back a bit. You indicated that he was looking at the window. He began pacing around the room. Okay, what's the next thing that happened after that?
In between telling us what to do, he looked at the window, and at some point, he walked towards the door that he came from and kind of looked towards it, but didn't linger very long. I figured he heard something, and afterwards he became a little bit more time constricted. Kind of got back once again to getting us to do what he wanted.
Now, you're still where in the room?
We're on opposite ends of the bed.
All right. What's the next thing that happens?
He approached us after looking at the door, and threw glow sticks that he activated by his mouth, with his mouth. So he threw one near me where I was halfway lying down, and one at Lisa's side where she was kind of the same.
So at that time, there were no, did he turn on the light in the bedroom?
No.
Okay, so there were no lights other than what?
The end of his gun and the glow sticks.
Okay, now the end of his gun, you say because why?
He had one of those mounted lights onto it.
Okay.
Or he was holding the light on top like police do when they search.
Okay. So what's the next thing that happened?
hard for me to remember exactly what came after it. It seemed very fast.
Well, just tell us what you do remember, that's fine.
He continued to pace, talk to Lisa for the most part. I think actually when she refused to put the handcuffs, he approached her and there was some sort of physical contact. Either she tried to push him away or I don't know exactly what it was, but I remember he came very close to her. And I was very shocked that because she knew him well from before, he just said, like, this makes no sense. Why are you doing this? And so he backed up. I think more time kept going by, and he again looked and approached the door. He disappeared from my view for a split second. By instinct, I tried to...
Object.
No, go ahead. You can tell us what you did.
I started to pull the mattress towards me, over me, and Lisa saw that, and she pushed it towards me from her side and jumped over now the empty bed side of it. So some of it was still on the bed. And she crawled over to my side of the bed, so we are now on the right side of the bed.
Where was the mattress?
Once she sat next to me, it was halfway over us, halfway on the corner of the bed. So I think it was tilted at some point towards me. And then the other side was more raised over her. And he heard the ruffling. He reappeared and said, "What do you think you're doing?" Rushed towards us with the rifle. And kind of try to pull it off of us,
The mattress.
the mattress.
Go ahead.
But from what I remember, the mattress stayed covering the lower half of us, maybe a little less her than me because I was more into the corner that was tilted down.
And what's the next thing that happened?
He was standing over us pretty close. I heard one shot out of the rifle. I don't remember seeing it, but I remember hearing it. But that was it, and I thought maybe it's a warning shot. Can I actually backtrack to him approaching the mattress?
Then what happened?
When he approached the mattress and pulled it, or tried to pull it back off of us, I realized that Lisa had grabbed her phone from her side and was doing something with it to where when I looked at her, the screen of the phone was lit up and it was very bright.
And what's the next thing that took place?
I realized that he's now approaching us and we'll see that, and I knew that's just gonna make him angrier because he's probably gonna,
Or just tell us what he did.
I knocked it out of her hand being afraid that he's gonna,
I object.
No, she can have that. Explains her purpose.
Go ahead.
I knocked it out of her hand, fearing that that's only gonna make him angrier, since to that point we weren't shot yet. Maybe there was an opportunity to not do it.
What happened?
I knocked it out, and that's when that shot came out. He said, "What are you doing? What do you think you're doing?" And maybe seconds afterwards, there were more shots. I knew they weren't at me. I didn't feel it yet. The sound also went to my left. And at some point, there were more shots, and then I finally felt getting shot myself, mainly through my right arm going numb and curling up. I didn't know anything else. Afterwards, at some point, the shot ceased. I figured we only have seconds after that to live. I turned to Lisa. And I said, "I love you," to which she responded, "I love you too." And we were very close. She was facing me, kind of, and I just turned my head towards her, and I kissed her lips, and I remember the lips going numb, or not numb, limp, as if she got really weak. And right after that, I heard a lot of gushing blood, gurgling almost, and she started choking, like a wet cough, and exhaled, and it was a very deep exhale, and I, for myself, knew that she was dead at that point.
Adrian had fired 15 shots. Lisa was struck 11 times, dying at the scene. Satisfied, Adrian left the apartment, leaving Anna alone. Lisa's phone, however, was still on. Before Anna knocked it out of her hand, she had dialed 911, and the dispatcher was still on the line. Anna, in a daze, began to speak with the emergency operator. The phone call itself lasted nearly 20 minutes, and it is a harrowing, gut-wrenching listen, and while available online, it is not one that we will play here. Anna is audibly heard going in and out of consciousness for the entirety of the call, losing blood. Despite being confused and in shock, she told the dispatcher the identity of her attacker, a colleague from the Coast Guard named Adrian. Outside, Adrian scrambles to retrieve a semi-automatic rifle that he had stashed away earlier. He readies a bullet in the chamber and waits for his final epic shootout, just like the ones from all the movies he loves. He hides out on a neighbor's deck, waiting for police. 911 calls flood into the police department, all concerning the car fire that Adrian had set on Roundhouse Road. One 911 call, however, was different. It was from the neighbor, saying there was an armed man wearing black tactical gear, hiding on her deck.
On your backyard?
Yes. Yeah.
He's on your deck?
Yes.
Stand by. Listen, when you pull into Roundhouse, do you go to the left or the right?
Oh, you go to the left.
Okay. And your ass is on the back of your deck?
Yes.
Okay, hang on.
Officer Jared McDonald of the Bourne Police Department approached the house. As he drove closer, lights flashing, he saw a burning vehicle directly blocking his path. As he stepped out of the car, he heard strange music booming somewhere in the distance. Adrian set up a boombox and was playing the music from Batman Begins. If Adrian's going to die, he's choosing to go out to Hans Zimmer. Loya saw Officer McDonald's silhouette through his sights and opened fire with his assault rifle. Officer McDonald dove for cover and attempted to return fire, but his efforts were futile. He had no idea where the shots were coming from. Loya fired again and again and again until finally one of the bullets hit home. Jared McDonald fell to the ground, struck in the back. The bullet had passed through his lower back, through his lower kidney, barely missing his spine. Officer McDonald will survive the night, but his injuries will ensure he never works in law enforcement again due to severe nerve damage. Officer McDonald radios in shots fired, and backup officers arrive on the scene in minutes. Adrenaline pumps through Adrian's body. He prepares for the onslaught of bullets to take him away from the world he hates so much. Meanwhile, Anna, back in the apartment, is still on the phone with dispatchers. Paramedics and officers are not able to reach her as they're attempting to find the man who had shot Officer McDonald. It takes them over half an hour to get to the house, with Anna clinging onto life. Paramedics do finally arrive, however, and are able to take Anna to the local hospital. She will survive and recover from her injuries. More officers arrive on scene, but they don't attack. Adrian was ready to die, but the bullets don't come. Not knowing what else to do, he sets up his GoPro and films a shot of him putting down his weapons and surrendering to police. At 4 a.m., Adrian was brought into the Bourne Police Department for interrogation.
I just want to let you guys all know I'm not going to lie at any point. I'm going to tell all the truth.
Okay.
So I can go through point to point to point to point.
Yeah.
So I know I'm already a dead man and all this stuff. It's basically assaulted a resident, a female, who assaulted me.
Okay.
And then
so you were actually assaulted by someone?
By her, yes.
Okay. And you went to that girl's house?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened when you got there?
I told her why I was there, and then...
And what did you tell her?
I told her, here I am, this is what you did to me 2 years ago. Even though it's not a physical, it was the, basically the line from a sexual attack. That USB stick and the hard drive that's would be staying in the hotel room.
Okay, what would be on the USB stick?
There is a 250-page Word document just detailing everything up from when I first met Lisa to when I decided I didn't want to exist anymore and not have her.
And if I may, it's fair to say that you recorded everything because you believed that at the end of this event, you may not be with us. Is that correct?
Correct.
You wanted everything to be recorded because you had the intention of having everything left behind on some sort of a device. That's fair to say.
I didn't want to be any question saying it's a senseless murder or a terrorist attack or anything like that. It was a very personal act of revenge.
Okay.
It was.
And this was against Lisa?
And I guess for her act, it was for a sexual assault from her on me that I wanted to get revenge on. And also, I didn't want to. I'll do a little quick one just for you.
I appreciate it. No, I'm sorry. I know, like I said, I'm showing up late and I'm sitting here, my head's spinning, and I just...
So September 2012.
Okay.
The date is the 9th of September 2012. She invited me to her house while her wife was away. And then she proceeded to fondle herself and then tried to make physical contact on me. Then pulled me to her bedroom, telling me, let's do it. Which is no way I could, mishear that as other than sexual intercourse.
Right.
And then I was in a frozen state at that time, and surprised not being right now, really, but I was horribly shaken at that point. So.
What was your relationship with her? Was she someone you worked with? Was she your superior, or were you guys equals?
At the time, she was my technically subordinate, but it was never that kind of actual relationship. It was just military rank instruction.
Anything else happened after that?
There was further encounters. Nothing really sexual, but more of I guess power plays new work to this court. I wrote a letter to her to tell her what, because I know she did it, how I kind of like, come out of it, how it's feeling, just so she would know, how it's feeling.
So you took the time to write her a letter and explain to her, because I don't think you mentioned that earlier.
I did, I think so.
That you were a
Basically,
letter?
that's, I think I told you when I gave them evidence. I provided them text messages when she invited me over to her house. Text messages after I left her house.
Okay.
And then I gave them emails and.
I'm sorry, you gave the like, police?
Coast Guard investigation service.
Oh, okay. This all happened?
And this is why, after I gave the letter to her, she then labeled me as a, well, she basically just kind of got really angry at that. I felt that she was going to make it her own thing, make up, basically lies. So I went to CGIS, the Investigation Service, to get my sort of record. I didn't really care. Something would have, I knew like the letter was a very personal letter. It was nothing mean-hearted. It was just like, here are feelings.
Your letter to her?
Yes.
Okay.
So by the commandant's instructions, it's considered not sexual harassment, but like harassment, like unwanted, feelings. And then, they use that and took it on me, saying I was.
So they turned it on you?
Yes.
Okay. So you write the letter, she gets it, and what happens then?
She first was really happy when she was reading it. Then she got kind of teary-eyed, and she got very mad, and then she just got very dismissive, and then we didn't speak for her. I told her wife too, like, send a copy of the letter saying, here's what your wife did. And I was just saying stuff to your wife, I don't want you never to hear this. And then took it the wrong way, I guess.
The two of them, then Lisa and Anna, correct?
So when I came back from training, it was I was in trouble. Not in big trouble, it was
Is that investigation still ongoing?
No, that's when it closed. When I transferred from Kodak, Alaska, where it happened at, to Chesapeake, Virginia, my first day of arrival, I was presented it's called page 7, legal term. It's basically a disciplinary sheet stated I use my power as a E5 to her E4 at the time, which the commander on the phone, as a commander from Kodiak calling Chesapeake in a conference call to present me this page 7. And then I told, I'm not signing this, every single bit of this is wrong. I understand I presented a letter that was, I liked her. I didn't like her at the time. I liked her not as a romantic thing, I like, thought that was taken as a unwanted feelings and harassment. And that was put into my record. I did not sign it, but.
And when did that happen?
June 2013.
How did that make you feel?
I was very angry.
And where were you stationed then? You were in Virginia?
That's my first birthday in Virginia.
Okay. The assault occurred in Alaska?
Alaska.
And this is the CO from Alaska giving you this information? Okay. And where was she stationed at the time?
Here.
She was in Massachusetts? Okay. News that you're basically in trouble, but you don't feel like you should be in trouble because you were assaulted. All right, so what happened then?
I think I basically, in a way, lost. I used to love the job, stopped loving it. Nothing feels right anymore in the Coast Guard. I don't want to be in the Coast Guard anymore. So then I thought about, I don't want to do this anymore. It's no fun. But I thought about this on the outside. I don't care anymore about the outside. There's nothing for me. But then I thought back again, why am I thinking this way? And I always went back to Lisa. Nothing feels right anymore in the Coast Guard. I don't want to be in the Coast Guard anymore.
So you became very depressed?
That was massive depression. Again, it was one of those things where I didn't know what depression was. I thought it was, my puppy died, I'm sad now. I didn't realize it was suicidal thoughts all the time and no emotion. And when there was emotion, it was breakdowns.
To your doctor or anything?
Yes. I saw a therapist during the investigation in Kodiak. It didn't go so great because basically...
Was that something your CO made you do?
The investigative service guys suggested it. He said you should, honestly, something happened to you. Can't prove it, but, because like, there was assaults, you know, a couple weeks later, I had my first breakdown. I was in the bathroom, I just fell to the floor, or crying at that point. But when I told him that time of the breakdown, just saying a word, I broke down in front of these agents. And that's when I said, you know, we don't know what happened really. You know, we hear your sad story, but you should go see it.
Now, at that time, did you ever have suicidal ideations ever?
No, it was just. Well, at that point, I was actually better. I thought everything was to be worked out.
This is because after you wrote the letter.
After I wrote the letter, I was getting to the point. She got mad at me, but I was like, at least she knows everything. At least she knows what she did, and she was so blackout drunk apparently, but she was saying my name, she was walking correctly. She grabbed me, took me to her bedroom. We had to argue on their terms. Because there was an ugly fight in the summer of that year. We didn't even look at each other for a whole month.
You guys had an ugly fight summer of 12?
2012.
2012. And you saw, the first assault happened in September of 2012?
Yes. It was just a verbal, you know, military, I need you to do this. You know, to her, she took it as me.
She was an E4, you were an E5.
Right. And basically, go get that guy, tell him to come back inside. She took it as me babying her. She came back to me, yelled in my face, saying, don't ever speak to me that way. And I put it down in so many letters all the time. I did not yell at her. I did not raise my voice. I did not get tagged. I said, hey, that guy's outside, bring him back in. Do not leave with him, bring him back inside. We did not look at each other. That's when I got really depressed at that point. It was my first actual depression. And that's where I did have suicidal thoughts at that time. There was again, it wasn't total suicide. It wasn't thinking of putting a gun to my head or, you know, overdosing. It was, I don't care if I live or die. I'll just go through the motions and just go through existence. So after that point, I just wanted to become friends again. Like we used to, you know, hang out towards on my place. We'd play games. We'd go out and see movies.
How long were you guys friends for?
We only knew each other from 2011 to, I guess, February 2013. She said her wife doesn't like our relationship, so for me to stay away. I took that as like, who is this woman, you know, telling me this? I didn't see her. I'm scared of her actually. She's the one who's been bringing this weird stuff to me. So then
the wife.
So one day in October 2012, I was leaving our work building to go change out my uniform to normal clothes. Her wife was there in her car waiting for Lisa. I looked at her and she was waving at me and smiling at me. And all I knew of her was that she hated me for some reason. So I looked at her and just kept on walking, but you know, I'm kind of scared of her. And I glanced again and she was still smiling and waving at me. We haven't had any contact really over the whole summer. She says, hey, told her wife, stay away from me. So that just
This is coming from Lisa though, that Anna said this. You ever hear it from Anna?
Since I've known Anna during that time, we've only had a couple conversations and they were all pleasant. So I just shook my head. The next day I asked Lisa, like, why was your wife smiling at me and waving at me? And she goes, oh, she's probably being nice. I'm like, oh, so when she's waving at me, she's being nice. When I do it, I'm apparently a pre-vote or something.
When did you start thinking about coming up here? She's been here the whole time, right?
Sorry, April 2014.
And how did you get into the home?
Shotgun breach.
And where were they?
Upstairs in the bedroom.
And what did you do there?
Went to the bedroom, told them to get down, face down, under their head. They wake up high, sucking sheets. Then they asked where I was, and I revealed myself.
When you say you revealed yourself, did you have a mask on or something? Did you take it off?
Yes. Told her 2 years ago, sexually assaulted me. And she was for revenge. back and forth. First saying I'm sorry, and asking her why to tell me sorry. Years ago, dropped the AR, switched the pistol, and emptied it onto where I needed these was under the mattress.
What about Anna?
I tried my best not to.
So Anna, nothing with Anna. It's all about Lisa.
You indicated earlier that you said you heard a gurgling.
Yes.
What did you think that was?
These last sounds.
Her last sounds.
I knew the job was done, and then she was leaving the premises.
So, what if your point was to basically suicide by cop, right?
Well, that's the thing where there's still the instinct there of.
Yeah, because you said earlier you saw the silhouette and you just engaged, but.
Right.
And as Detective Dole said earlier, I mean, you knew by engaging, because you know this person, the next person you see is going to be armed.
Yes. There is where I want to die on this.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's an easy thing.
And that's when I gave up on it, because it's horrible how I took out Lisa, just sitting there waiting for a police officer to round the corner and light me up is a, horrible thing to sit there and wait. And then my other thing was like, well, I know what's going on so far, but just imagine where I'm going to stand with my hands up and they'll say, we've been safe and just light them up there. But it was.
So what changed from, I mean, your will to live is zero. You said you're just existing.
I already know I'm a dead man. I felt like a dead man for this. It wasn't just a random killing or, you just saying, oh, hey, here's some girls on a shoot gun. It was a very personal revenge thing.
Is that why you wanted to stay alive?
At that point, I was like, it was one thing where I just knew that I did not want to sit there and come back outside a corner, but it's not exactly tactical finish. Advancement. Make sure it's discarded. Rather than the magazine, they're going to think about this.
But that stream of thought happens after you let one go at the office.
Yes. So I have a holographic sight on the rifle. I don't actually remember seeing the sight on the silhouette. Actually, I was pointing that direction, and I have a very good memory of the flash on my rifle. Still, the fact knowing that I'm engaging a live person, just because I killed these before that, I have not, any kind of engaged in that kind of thing, or never been in combat, so it's not exactly, this is fun, or I can't wait till he shoots me back so I can die. It is bang, 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 explosions coming from my hand basically towards this target.
When you fall back?
To that house.
Is that what we talked about a minute ago, where you kind of...
I sat there, there was some little chairs that had in the backyard, and I immediately went and sat there. Then I have a rifle where he has head on my lap, expecting a charge, but it was not exactly a smart decision on their side to charge.
If that had happened, that was intentions. If you would see, several people come at you while you're sitting there with your rifle in your lap, what were your intentions going to be?
I think if I had heard it, I would have, shouldered it. But it would have been a very dramatic movement.
And for the reason of?
To say, hey, here's the guy pointing up at me, engage him, just like how I engaged that officer.
So what changed?
It's the waiting. Even this whole year of me going, I'm going to die on stage, it's still not exactly a pleasant thing to have in your mind. And when you're at the actual point saying, it's time, but I'm just sitting here for it to happen, waiting, instead of it just happening.
And that's when you make the decision to discard everything. You ended up just walking down the hill?
Yes, I had my hands up, I shouted. I think I said I surrendered. I said unarmed, my hands were up. And I stood underneath the light, the lamppost, so we could see everything.
You walked there you walked to the light so that people could see that you were unarmed.
I did walk, because coming from that backyard area, there's a lit path, but it's also elevated to where objects coming up from that path is in the darkness, looking upwards, and all they would see is a movie head or something.
Right.
So I wanted to get away from the path onto the main roundhouse road. And then
How do you feel right now? Not everything.
outside, again, I haven't had feeling in a while. And I do, during this whole time, I've had the images of, the pistol going off, at the mattress. I didn't see the immediate aftermath. I just know I took a life at that point. But it was a life I wanted to take.
You've been thinking about it for a long time.
Yes.
How do you feel now that it's done? Like what Officer Spillane asked you?
Job's done.
It's just a job.
I guess that was the job that had to be done before I closed the shop.
And when you say close up shop, you mean end your life? On your birthday, which is today?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no further questions.
I think I'm good.
All right,
Do you have any questions for us, Adrian?
I guess you guys can't really answer, but I didn't hit any civilians. Shot to death.
Shot a cop. I know he's not considered a civilian, but
all right, so I'm gonna turn this tape off. It's 6:19 a.m.
It would be 2.5 years before Adrian Loya would stand trial. In that time, Lisa Trumnikova was laid to rest with full military honors. Various psychiatrists and psychologists would examine Adrian, but none were able to agree on a consistent diagnosis. Adrian attempted to plead insanity. During the trial, the 911 calls were played, along with the interrogation tape. When the prosecution and defense rested their closing arguments, a mistrial was almost called. Adrian turned to the jury and mouthed the words, "I'm guilty." The jury deliberated the case for 3 days. They came back with a guilty verdict on the count of first-degree premeditated murder and also found him guilty on 28 of the 29 indictments that he had faced. Adrian Loya was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. It's very difficult to believe the butterfly effect that one drunken kiss had in this case. Adrian Loya had every opportunity to seek out mental health treatment and support, but instead chose to delve further down into an obsessive, violent rabbit hole. He now lives at Massachusetts Correctional Institute, Cedar Junction, in South Walpole, Massachusetts, where he can never hurt a woman again. Thank you for watching today's video. It's one that I wanted to make for a long time now, and I really appreciate you for watching this far into it. If you have any suggestions for other cases I could look into, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm always interested. Sources used for this piece will be featured in the video description. And lastly, if you or someone you love is dealing with a mental health crisis, please know that help is accessible. Links and numbers to resources are available in the video description. Thank you, and until next time, be safe.